Well, hello, my fellow broke aristocrats. It's me, Whimsy, and today we're talking about building a pantry. I recently expanded my own home pantry, and I thought that I would share some do's and don'ts with the rest of you. Um, I just want to say that pantries are not necessarily for everybody, and you may have a small pantry, you may have a large pantry. We're going to talk about the do's and don'ts. Before we do, it would be great if you could like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It's a great way of growing this channel. A little bit about me. I'm Dr. Whimsy Anderson. I'm a naturopathic doctor. And my job is to help people live frugally, to live below their means, and to cook nutrient dense food and have healthy lifestyles on fixed incomes. So, if that works for you, then this is the channel for you. So, recently I revamped my entire pantry, and it got me to thinking about pantries, the kind of pantries I've had over the years, and how I have to say I'm really proud of my pantry. This back here is a background image, but it looks an awful lot like my real pantry. And I have a lot of herbs in my pantry because I make herbs and medicines for my patients. But I also have a lot of other really cool stuff. I was sitting with my favorite AI generated artificial intelligence. I don't know if the rest of you are into artificial intelligence, but I do enjoy Grok. And Grok helped me build my pantry. So here is actually what my pantry looks like with some mild changes. I have to go through a couple of things. Um, I told Grok to build a pantry for someone who is interested in natural living. And this is what they came up with. I got rid of some of the stuff that I don't keep, and I still have to go through this. Like I don't keep apricots usually. The only dried fruit I keep around is raisins. But we can go over this. But this was just a general one. I guess if you guys wanted, I could put it up for you guys to give you a basic idea of what a healthy pantry would look like. But that was the one that got generated by Grok. So thank you, Grok, for that. Okay, so should not have a big elaborate pantry? Is anybody, I would say, who's unstable? The purpose of a pantry is to save you money. And if you've just got a bunch of jars and you don't have a lot of space, you're staying at a dorm, you're going to be graduating from college in 6 months. You want to really limit the number of things that you have in your pantry. You might only have like some red lentils, some all-purpose flour, salt, pepper, baking soda. Keep it simple, the bare minimum, because it's a wasted investment. At that point, it's a wasted investment because you don't have the space and probably are not interested in cooking. You're interested in doing your studies, socializing, etc. So that would not be somebody who should have a large pantry, or anybody whose living situation is unstable. You have to think, do I really want to invest in having something like this? My first advice then is to build as you go and have your pantry be a reflection of your state of stability. If you are unstable, and that's okay. I've had many years of being unstable, moving around. But for me, at this point in my life, my pantry is a reflection of my stability and my efforts to create a financially stable home for myself for many years to come. And so that is what my pantry reflects for me. Remember, build as you go. Only start with one or two items. You don't have to have everything. If you're on a fixed income and you only have a little bit of money to spend, then you may want to. I certainly like buying in bulk. If it works for you, like 5 pounds, excuse me, you can buy 5 pounds of flour, and you're going to use it over time. But be careful about storage. That's the other warning I would give to people, because things can go bad, particularly in the summertime. Know how to store things, maybe put them in the freezer in the summer or the refrigerator so that you don't have a destruction of your pantry goods by various different creatures. I've had that happen and had to throw out a lot of really good stuff. So don't overstock your pantry if you're not going to be using stuff, and know how to store it so that, keep the lids on it. Don't have open bags. Put it in the freezer. A lot of bags, if you can't be bothered, can just be stuck in the freezer and taken out as needed. And don't buy stuff you don't know how to use. That was something else that I wanted to mention. I think I had four main points I was supposed to be mentioning here. Don't if you don't know how to cook, if you don't know how to cook, then and you don't have any interest in cooking, then there's really no point to be buying all of this stuff. To be honest with you, you really only want to be having a pantry if you are interested in cooking and you know how to cook, or you're interested in finding out how to cook. I want to go back to my pantry, the one that was built by Grok for me, and show you a little bit of the ideas I had. I don't have any wild rice. I'll get rid of that. But I do usually have rice. This is one of the bulk items I would recommend that every broke aristocrat have. It's fairly easy to make. You don't need a rice cooker. If you want to have a rice cooker, you could have a rice cooker, but you don't really need one. So in terms of grains, you could start off with just basic stuff, one grain, rice. In terms of pasta, again, you don't need a million and one types of pasta. There's several ideas here. I don't have a whole wheat. I do have some gluten. I have one pack of gluten-free pasta, and I have some regular pasta as well. I should say regular pasta. I have both. And in terms of grains, I don't have millet. I don't like it. I don't really like the taste. I never really learned how to cook it. Kasha, groats, and buckwheat are pretty much the same thing. Grok probably didn't know that. I do like to have barley around. I do occasionally use it. But again, if you're not going to use it, probably keep it in the freezer. Einkorn, I do keep a lot of einkorn. And the whole wheat flour, absolutely. And I do have several different types of gluten-free flours because I am trying to move away from gluten and conventional wheat, which I think there's some evidence now that it's really hard on the gut, even for if you do not have celiac disease. And because gluten can be difficult and a strain on the digestive tract, it may be one of the things linked to diverticulitis. A low fiber diet and a high meat diet is also associated with diverticuli, but now we're seeing gluten as well. Little bit easier to digest if you go with the einkorn wheat, which is an ancient, less genetically modified, or you can just experiment with some of the gluten flours. They are expensive, but like I said, start with something really small and build as you go. In terms of beans, the same idea. I don't go with canned beans, go with dried beans, but remember, it doesn't take very long to learn how to prepare beans. These are definitely some of the beans I have in my home. In terms of purchasing beans, I do like to go to the Indian supply store where I can buy things in large quantities for very little, and I can get the things I like. I love chana dal, mung beans. I'm out of chana dal right now. I should definitely put that in here. Kidney beans I don't have, but I do have everything else. Um, Nuts, great to have nuts around. Almonds are expensive. When you're talking about nuts, I don't keep cashews traditionally in the home, but I'd like to start keeping those just because they make some great sauces for vegan meals. Cashews are very expensive. Almonds are very expensive. And then under that would be walnuts. The cheapest in terms of if you're trying to have something healthy would be the seeds like sunflower seeds are the cheapest seed along with flax and chia. And those are great in terms of digestion. Remember, when we're thinking about health, we're thinking about greens, beans, onions, berries. mushrooms, nuts, and seeds. These are the foods that are associated with long life. And so when we're thinking about preparing our pantries, we want to be thinking in terms of greens, beans, onions, berries, mushrooms, nuts, and seeds. Walnuts being the healthiest because they are the highest in omega 3s. In terms of canned goods, I don't keep a lot of canned goods around. I prefer to make things from scratch or buy frozen or to buy fresh, but I do keep some canned tomatoes. I think that those are really important to keep in your pantry. I do keep chickpeas as well, which can take a long time to cook, though soaking them in baking soda makes them delicious if you soak them overnight in baking soda, and they cook much faster. Coconut milk, yes, I would go with the light coconut milk. I would go with the light coconut milk here if you are making curries and Thai food and you're saying, but you don't want to give up that delicious coconut flavor, but you're concerned about triglyceride. They do have some good, healthy medium chain fats in there, but it's certainly something that people are concerned about. So for that reason, you probably should want to go with the the lighter coconut oils. Okay, let's see what we've got going on here. We talked about chia seeds. We talked about tomatoes. We talked about the light coconut milk, green peas. Yeah, I don't keep those. I usually get those frozen. I do, you know what? I do like canned corn, and occasionally I do keep that. In terms of spices and seasonings, this is something that can go bad, but at the same time, if you're using them, the mixed spices are really cool if you get them mixed together because like the Italian seasoning, this sort of thing is what I would start with. At the discount stores and also even regular stores, you can just pick up a packet and then use an old jar to store them in because a lot of the time paying for when you're paying for these sorts of things, you're paying for the jar, $5, and you're only paying for $1 of spice. So go and pick up $1 or $2 worth of the pack of spice. Take any type of jar that you have. You can label it and put the spice in that. It works just as well. Spices are incredibly important for our health. And one of the main reasons they're important for our health is because they're high in antioxidants. They're also antimicrobial and really great for digestive health as well. I keep vegan powder. The best and most nutrient dense I have found in my research is Protein and Greens by the company Paradise. Protein and Greens by the company Paradise. And the reason I chose that was because it had 24 servings of fruits and vegetables in the diet. And I like for my clients to usually start with a healthy breakfast. Tempeh and tofu are something I keep around. I have both. Those are in the refrigerator, and I have both. And that's because it's cheaper than meat. And soy is good for you. It was debunked. There was a concern about soy, but it was debunked several years ago. It's actually associated with decreased risk for several types of cancer, including prostate and breast cancer, decreasing. There was some disinformation in the past, and now we want to have these as long as it's organic. It's very good for you. High protein, low fat, decrease. It also decreases risk for heart attack, etc. So, tofu, tempeh, yes. In terms of plant-based milks, again, I keep them in the freezer, but though some cartons you can keep store outside. A lot of people are making their own milks, and I think that's great. I think it takes a tremendous amount of time. If we could come up with a way to do it quickly because of the straining of rice milk through the bags. I bought the bags. It just took forever. I couldn't be bothered. Remember, time is money. So I do just go ahead. It's one of those things that's pre-made that I will break down and buy is the plant milks because it's just so time consuming to make them. But the goal here is to reduce the processing. Same with tofu and tempeh. They are mildly processed. But the idea here is to reduce the processing and get down to the basics. What would our great grandparents recognize as food, right? How were people eating in 1850 prior to the Industrial Revolution? Because we really see the denaturing of food taking place right around the Industrial Revolution as people move away from the farms and away from being connected to their food sources. In terms of the types of condiments, I keep a lot of them in my home. Again, these are minimally processed, like basic white rice vinegars, balsamic vinegars, etc. I don't keep a lot of dried fruit in my home. Like I said, I don't keep apricots in my home. Sometimes I will keep dates and raisins to sweeten things because I'm trying to minimize the amount that I use of sugar in my food. Amboji plum, yes, I keep that. Rice cakes. Baking and beverages, again, if you're a baking fiend and you love to bake, then you're going to want to build your pantry around what you like to eat. It is better look, it's going to be better for you to make your own bread. It's going to be better for you to make your own muffins. The thing I love about having my own pantry, the thing that's so great about having my own pantry is the fact that I can eat whatever I like. I can eat whatever I like. If I want chocolate chip cookies, I can whip up chocolate chip cookies. If I want English scones, I can whip up some English scones because I always have butter in my home. The idea here is that you build until eventually you have this really amazing self-sufficient pantry. And then literally from your home, you can have anything you like. An example would be Swiss Chris instant cocoa warms you up inside, right? It's expensive and it probably has too much sugar for my liking. So I could, if I wanted to, just make my own version. And that's precisely what I've done. So if you look at my baking goods, I have cocoa powder, I have allulose, which is a sugar substitute. I've got coconut sugar, and so what I do is I mix those with some powdered milk, which I don't know if did they put the non-fat milk in here? Yes, there it is, non-fat milk. So basically, that's Swiss Miss instant cocoa, warm you up inside. And if you want to do a non-sugar version, you could just, to your liking, as long as you've got that non-fat milk in your cupboard, then you can whip up some uh, either sugar-free or you can sweeten it with something like coconut sugar. I do have white sugar. I do use it. Sometimes I will blend because I like the flavor of the sugar, but I want to reduce. I definitely have molasses, which are high in iron, and those can be used for making things like cornbread, etc. What else would I say? Coconut sugar is great. Also has a low glycemic index. Very important to have bulk dried yeast. I keep it in the refrigerator along with baking soda, etc., because I make my own bread. I make my own bread. I make my own naan. I make my own pita. And again, it goes back to this idea that I am creating heaven on earth. You are creating heaven on earth. We are living the life of aristocrats. You can have whatever you want. In terms of oils, olive oil, coconut oil are the best. And you can see I've limited here, but I do have some sesame oil as well. I do have canola oil in my home. I tend to go with an organic canola oil. Occasionally I will use it. But again, let's talk about this idea of creating heaven on earth. Creating heaven on earth where you're at. And that is really ultimately the good life. The good life is by living simply, build your pantry slowly. It won't cost you $1 million. You're still going to be able to get your groceries budget down considerably. In fact, once you get a really great working pantry that has everything in it that you like to eat, you'll be able to make healthy versions of literally everything at a fraction of the price. If you wanted peanut butter cookies, you could have them. If you wanted chocolate chip cookies, you could have with walnuts, you can have them. I also have a dried, which I don't know if it's in there. I have dried vegan eggs. I always keep those, some version of a dried vegan egg. They can be made from mung beans, and that way you can always make yourself some cookies and cakes and various things like that. Some people do have dried eggs in the house. I don't use them, but I think that's absolutely fine if you do want to use them. All right. So that is it. That is my pantry. That is my do's and don'ts of pantries from the perspective of being a broke aristocrat. Create heaven on earth. Give yourself the beautiful, stable home that you deserve. Give yourself the beautiful, stable home that you deserve and eat delicious, warm, nutrient dense food, just like your great great grandparents. Live the good life and invite people to your table. That's the other great thing. Commune with the neighbors. Bake them a pie with that amazing pantry. And yeah, hopefully these tips will inspire you. All right, thank you for watching this quick video from Broke Aristocrats. Be sure and share, like, subscribe, like I said, and tell me what you're doing to live below your means. Do you have a pantry? What's going on with your pantry? And do you have any tidbits that you'd like to share? We'd love to hear. All right. Thanks a lot, everyone. Be well. Bye-bye.